It's Wild West Exodus 2nd edition week here on Beasts of War, and we have some amazing prizes up for grabs. We have no less than 10 sets to give away, which include everything you need to play the game. Winners will be able to choose between the Warrior Nation, Lawman, Enlightened, Union or Outlaw sets for their prize. Get your comments in on all of the Wild West Exodus content this week on beastsofwar.com, YouTube or Facebook for your chance to win. Winners are announced in a future episode of The Weekender, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, welcome back to Wild West Exodus week here on Beasts of War. I am joined in the studio by Chris and Stu, and today we are having a chat about one of the factions. Who is it today, Stu?
We are talking about the Order today.
Okay, so the first question then, who are the Order?
The Order are an ancient force that existed for millions and millions of years. The Order themselves come from a dimension different to our own, a place called the All-Shard, which is like a sub-realm full of light and energy. Mm-hmm. The Order exists there, and they're quite happy to just exist there in kind of a peace and order and harmony. But they have a problem.
Right.
They have a problem which is loose in the material world, in our plane of existence. And so because of that, they are geared up to hunt down and to lead a crusade to try and purge our world, not just our world, but our realm of this terrible, terrible corruption.
Oh dear, this sounds like just absolute war. They're going to be sending everything they can after us. Yeah,
they have some problems though, because they exist in an energy state. The Order themselves within this realm, within the All-Shard, they can't physically enter our world particularly easily. So what they need to do is they need to find the thing that they're hunting down is this force called the Hex. In order to find it, they have to, through the dreams of all the mortals that live in the world, not just our world, but the countless worlds across the galaxies, through their dreams, they observe through a process called Gnosis, just trying to work out whether there's a kind of a hint, like a whiff of corruption. And if they can sense that corruption, they then focus on that world and try to see whether that corruption is like normal darkness in the hearts of whatever the creatures are that live there, or if it's actually coming from the Hex.
I see.
Once they find the Hex, then the Order will begin a crusade on that world. And slowly but surely they begin to influence the mortals on that world to kind of get in line with their way of thinking on things.
So inspiration, visions, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, effectively. It starts off as kind of whispers and ideas and inspiration, but very, very quickly it will evolve into dreams and then visions from what they believe are their gods. And they form a religion around it.
Okay.
So the symbol of the Order as they appear on Earth is of a man or of a person within this blinding ball of blue fire. That's both symbolic and literal, as we will explain. Yeah, absolutely. So the Order, as they're coming through, their crusades work in 6 phases. Okay, we don't need to go through all the phases. Suffice it to say that the later phases of the crusade are spectacularly bad for whatever the world is that they're involved on.
I will assume the entire world maybe turns into a ball of blue fire.
Certainly, that would be where the 6th phase of the crusade would go to. Would be burn the planet.
Yeah.
But we're gonna steer back from that bit. Yeah, we're gonna dial back. So they'll go through these various phases. So the first phase is to do with kind of influencing the natives on the world and trying to kind of just almost like the gathering intelligence, just sensing where their enemy is, what strength the enemy has, how long the enemy's been on the planet for, because they live in this kind of energy state in a different realm. Concepts like time, gravity, things like that, they have no real meaning for them. So there can be, between each crusade, between each kind of instance where they're hunting the Hex down, it can be centuries, thousands of years, it can be 1,000,000 years between instances. Obviously the Order are planning that one day they will annihilate the Hex and obliterate it, and then the material world is saved. But until that time, they will continue to hunt it down tirelessly through the various worlds until eventually they can complete their oath, their objective.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
Chris, for playstyle, what do you know of the Hex? How do they play on the tabletop?
The Order.
The Order. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
More insidious corruption and tendrils.
Yeah. Whoops.
They are a small elite force, so they'll tend to be outnumbered on the tabletop, but what they lack in numbers, they make up for in skill. They all have a rule called Elite, which allows them to essentially get more action points. And that means that with their better quality weapons, their better training, and their maybe slightly more action points, they can make up for that and take out more of the enemy
I see.
earlier on.
So this is very SWAT-like, very special tactics kind of thing then? You know, they're going to be in there hitting you hard.
Absolutely, yeah, and some of the weapons that even the hands, even the spiker carry are really deadly.
All right, well, it sounds like they're a really, really cool faction. Stu, what else have you got for us here, man?
Well, so as I say, when the way the Order have been working, they've been influencing and almost creating a cult, creating religion around their initial stages. So this will go on, and as Chris mentioned, they'll eventually have this band of followers, very highly trained, really focused, really well versed in the doctrines of the Order and how this enemy, this hex, this corruption must be at all costs be destroyed. It must be purged, exterminated, whatever euphemism you want to use.
Okay, so just annihilation.
Yeah, but the problem is the hex. Think of it more like a proxy war. In the same way that the Order are using, in this case, in this particular world, humans to fight their war, the hex has gotten its tendrils, its corruption, for want of a better word, into humans as well. So essentially what you're having is you're playing two human factions off against each other, but they're augmented in different ways. Okay? So for the Order, the way that they're augmented is, as Chris mentioned, the technology. So you have some of the, we've got some of the
I've got
some of the models here.
The beautiful big tanks that the Order rolls out with. This is the Pillar of Light, I believe, yeah?
It is indeed. So that's that's pretty much as earth-shattering as technology comes for the Order.
Well, for the era we're working in, this is quite sci-fi. You know, there's blue lightning and glowing bits everywhere on this thing.
Yeah, you have to bear in mind, so the way that the technology works, and the reason why the Order have this technology is that through dreams, essentially over effectively years, generations of followers, they're trying to show them concepts of how this technology should work. So, for example, you take something like that tank, the Pillar of Light. The wheels, the motors, the revelator cannon, those things would have been a bit like building a cathedral. They would have been shown in a vision how certain parts of it go together. There is no understanding of the underlying technology. So, for example, if the people that were creating this were then asked to, can you do the revelator cannon, but can you give it 2 barrels, or can you increase the fire? They would have no idea on how to do that, because that's why they call them relics. They're replicating what they've been shown by their gods, rather than innovating and learning any technology themselves.
That's actually a really, really cool idea, and I'm sure there'll probably be some knowledge of the current technology within the world, but I'm guessing they would probably want to stay away from it. Well,
it depends on where the technology comes from. So the reason why there is still some kind of recognisable human shapes, and you. Yes, okay, it's the late 19th century, so there's a kind of a slightly 19th century kind of aesthetic to it, is because they're still limited by human understanding of things and human principles of things. And
not to mention even just manufacturing capabilities.
Absolutely. It still has to be made from steel and other materials. It can't be made of some kind of weird alien metal, because there is no weird alien metal on the Earth. So they have to, though the design is in alien origin, the materials to make that are still very much human.
So it's actually the Order that are having to look at our weird alien metal and say, can that be used to make this?
Yeah, exactly. They're having to kind of work out how best to kind of interpret the vision that they've been given, and that's what they create. But bearing in mind that the Order are working over centuries, thousands of years with these things. So it doesn't matter if if a father dies and he spent his entire life trying to get a particular style of a piston or whatever working. It's fine because his son will be along or his daughter, and they'll work with them until they eventually die of old age, and then they'll continue to influence through their dreams for generation upon generation upon generation. Until you end up with that.
That's actually a really, really cool idea. Just having that's such a long view of a war that's going to be had. Very cool idea.
And because in the grand scheme of things, humans is like a mayfly existence. They and even actually the human species is nothing. It's been around for 200,000 years in its current form. That's not even a heartbeat for the Order. The Order were fighting their crusade against the Hex. Before Earth was, even the continents are in the shape that they are now. So it's nothing to them. So it's a very much the long game. But what's really interesting about the Order is, as fantastically well trained and equipped as they are, it really is about learning your place in the scheme of things. Let's look at some of the bosses, because I think that really kind of that shows how that works. So if we look at one of the older leaders.
Who's this?
So this is a guy called Abner. He is the eldest of the Surkan. The Surkan are the high priesthood of the Order. So he has seen a lot of changes within the Order, even within his own lifespan. He's reaching towards the end of his own life, and he's now seeing I mentioned there were phases in the Crusade.
Yes.
So very, very recently, within Abner's living memory, the Crusade has moved from its third phase, which was kind of fairly like a secret war going on, where you've got the militia going out and doing lightning raids and things. It's now moved from that third phase to the fourth phase. So the fourth phase was heralded with the arrival of a new type of Order soldier called the Cor Caroli.
Right. What are these guys?
So we have somebody like Abner, who's a what you would imagine as like a high priest. So big beard, kind of staff, lots of trappings of office and things, and he has lots of sort of synergies and skills and things that enable him to get the most out of mortal troops.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing because he's an old guy, you're not expecting him to be on the front lines, stabbing Jesse James in the heart.
No, he is more of a support boss for your faction.
It's quite unusual actually, because most of your bosses are in your face combat type, so they lead from the front. They're the ones who do a lot of the damage, and Abner really isn't like that. He leads, he inspires, but he does so from a point of safety, perhaps within a pillar of light, in fact.
That's actually a really cool idea. It's nice to have that different dynamic to a faction, where it's not just everybody's up the front, everybody's up and fighting. No, this guy's going to stand at the back and be that tactical commander,
Yeah, he's definitely, from a human's point of view, he's seen the grander picture of things, and he's as close to the wise sage within the Order as the Order has. I will go into the Cor Caroli in a little bit, but we'll talk about one of the other the more human leaders.
Well, just before we jump to that, I know we have his miniature on here.
Okay, sure.
Just because I'd like to get a look at him. So the actual sculpt for him, it does have that sense of commanding. Now I think this guy needs his beard repainted to be white. I'm guessing someone took a little bit of artistic license when they painted this one up.
Yeah.
But the miniature for him is absolutely gorgeous, and you can see that sort of blue glow off his weapon. Is that something from the Order, or is he carrying a relic?
Well, I mean, all the weapons and what have you that the Order use are going to be relics of some kind. Yeah, his staff, the weapon that he carries, is a relic. It's both a symbol of his office and also able to blast you quite comfortably.
Lovely. And what? Even then, your standard line infantry, are they running around with relics as well?
Yeah. So they're having those are the spiker. So the spiker are the militia. So 1,000 years ago, they would have still been spiker, but their equipment and technology would have been less. They weren't always running around with this kind of level of equipment. The Order tends to be highly advanced for its time that it's in, but it's it's not running around with rockets and ray guns and things in Stone Age times.
It's not going to be running around with drone strikes and stuff happening these days.
No, but should the Order be around by the time you get to the 20th century, then absolutely it would be. Their technology is advanced for humanity, but it still is limited by what humans are able to produce. So plastics haven't been discovered and invented yet.
Yeah.
So consequently, there is no plastic in the army.
Yeah, that actually makes me think danger, because if you have wiring and cabling and electricity at this time, because if they're advanced enough to be ahead of time here, they might have electricity. No plastics. That means bare cable.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, or some kind of ceramic or something like that. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot going on. But as I say, Abner represents the more human side of the Order. And the great thing about the Order is, like all the factions, each of the bosses has their own particular flavour, has their own particular style. So if we look at another one, again another mortal, as it were. So this is Nura. So Nura is a lot younger than Abner. She represents. She's the polar opposite of Abner in many ways. So she's just as courageous and brave and fearless, but she very much is frontline. Yeah,
she looks like a combat machine from the piece of artwork we have here. Just that moment of getting in and going after somebody is very beautiful.
Yeah, she very much is. Actually, Chris has had a bit of a play with her, and she's a fan of portals as well.
Yes.
Portals. Shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans right now. Yeah. You guys are using portals.
Lots of shenanigans. And portals are one of the mechanisms in Wild West Exodus that appears in a lot of different factions in different ways. And it really gives a tactical depth to certain miniatures within those factions, and Nura can appear from pretty much nowhere and lay the smack down pretty hard.
See, I'm just imagining having someone thinking, okay, that's safe. Portal, by the way, you're dead.
Yeah, she's a portal runner, for want of a better word. She can a portal jumper. She can throw portals out in front of her. She can then jump through those portals, make an exit point in the enemy lines. She's in bowling straight out of there and getting stuck in with that rather tasty hammer of hers.
Yeah. Ouch. And what kind of troops would she like to bring along with her then? Is it just the spiker?
Yeah, she would also use a spiker. There are different types of spiker for different functions. So she would have some spiker more similarly equipped to her. There's also, like all the factions where you have hands, and you also have faces. There are spiker faces that are very, very good at, so Helios and some of the others that are very, very good at doing the portal assault.
So, hang on, you're telling me I could basically build a posse and pretty much completely design it around doing some portal work.
Yep.
And actually just having movement shenanigans to annoy my opponent all day long.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So you could have Abner doing the kind of the supporting thing, or you could have Nura doing her lightning raid portal thing, where the enemy doesn't know quite where you're going to come from.
Interesting.
But because it's Wild West Exodus, you could also have both. You could have a slightly larger game. You can have Abner doing the kind of supporting thing on the back lines, or the mid game area, maybe moving forward for an objective, while Nura is striking ahead, taking out enemy strong points and so on.
Yeah, and I'm guessing with the redesign on the rules, the game will actually expand to allow you to have multiple bosses then.
Yes, very much
cool.
so.
Very, very cool. Do we have anyone else?
We do, yeah. So we'll go back to what I mentioned before. So the Cor Caroli. So the Cor Caroli, what happens is at the end of the third phase, the last piece of technology that, because there is only so much that you can teach somebody through visions and things before the concepts of the technology become so advanced. And so, I mean, if you imagine like microcircuitry or something like that, just there is a limit to what you could eventually teach somebody.
Yeah, basically someone trying to teach me quantum physics.
Yes, through visions and dreams. Yes, would be a challenge, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So at that point, the Order know this. The Order have done these Crusades. So this is the 18th Crusade. So the 17 Crusades previously, they're used to dealing with fallible mortals like us, and how limited our brains are, and so on. So there is, at the end of the third phase, there's the last piece of technology, the last relic that they impart, that they can impart, is a thing called an apothic arch.
Ooh.
Okay, what the apothic arch does, essentially, once that's built, that connects wherever the Order stronghold is to the All Shard itself.
Ah.
And then one of these lovely, very well trained spiker, in great ceremony and great circumstance, for the very first time, the spiker, she will go into the apothic arch, and she will be prepared for to receive the blessings of the gods, and the very first time, then...
Whoa!
Yeah, Makara appears. So what happens is that the mortals, our flesh becomes host to the energy form of one of the Order. So one of their spirits, effectively. So Makara, her soul, will travel from the All Shard through the apothic gate or the apothic arch, and will possess a supplicant, a poor spiker.
You say per spiker. I'm sure there's that noble sacrifice to it where they know what's going on. The difference is, though, in the Order has got kind of like secrets within secrets. So actually the spiker don't know that there is these extra dimensional aliens, essentially, that are fighting an eternal war against the Hex. It's been explained to them more in a kind of religious context. So it's as much of a shock to any of them, whereas they think they're going to get some kind of blessing from a god, when what happens is some massive energy being takes over their body, uses their body as a meat puppet, effectively. Okay.
The person, so we'll call her Sally the spiker.
Okay.
Sally is still there in her mind, but she's like a voice in the audience of with Makara's soul, Makara's spirit is centre stage and completely in control.
And then whenever the spiker comes out, does the spiker instantly look like this, or
no.
is this some advancement that's been done after the fact?
I'll show you a different one, and then we'll come back to Makara.
Okay.
So this would be so this is Han. That's what a Cor Caroli would look like normally. Okay. So what would happen is, so the human body, like all mortals, isn't really designed for energy beings to occupy. Yeah. So they immediately start to burn with a kind of a righteous blue fire. Remember I mentioned that the human form sort of wreathed in blue flame was maybe not just a figurative thing. Figurative thing, but was actually literal. Yeah, so there is the human body will start to burn. So what they do is they immediately they've got some time though, so they immediately place the newly possessed spiker into a large suit of armor. The spiker is then known by the name of the new Cor Caroli. So Han, for example, so she would have taken over the body. It doesn't really matter what the gender is of the person that's inside the armor. They're effectively just mechanics or whatever to move the armor and to let the Cor Caroli exist on the Earth. The more active a member of the Cor Caroli is, though, the more they fight, the faster they burn inside the host. There will come a point where Bob, the spiker, who is the host to Han, Bob will be brought back to the apothic arch. The armor will be opened. Bob's charred form will be unceremonially tossed out of the armor. Han's energy will then return to the All Shard. A new supplicant will get popped in, and then Han will then repossess the new body and will continue to fight until eventually the Hex is defeated. Yeah, again, because human existence is so fleeting. Yes. It's a sacrifice that the Order believe is worth making. Yeah. I'm not sure they asked our opinion on the matter though before they started doing it. So, but we go back to Makara. So with Makara though, you'll notice she's slightly different. So unfortunately, there is a human inside Makara. Yeah. But the human is only from about the pelvis upwards. Yes, indeed. So there is a slight alteration that needs to be made to that particular host body before it's inserted into the armor. Okay. But not being funny, they're burning by a sort of like holy righteous fire from the inside anyway, so the fact that they've not got any legs anymore is kind of a moot point.
Yeah, a little bit. And I'm guessing Has humanity been inspired to make this armor, or is
Yes.
this something that the Cor Caroli are starting to make themselves, or are the
The
Cor
Cor-
Caroli starting to make
So
their own weapons?
Makara's armor would be forged by the Spiker in preparation. They don't understand what was going to go into it, but they in preparation. But once the Cor Caroli on there, the Cor Caroli are able to then manufacture more and more advanced technologies and things because they're effectively they're making them by hand themselves. So yes, there is now the Cor Caroli are on Earth, and now more Cor Caroli are coming through, and more Spiker are being blessed.
Yeah, and I'm assuming not all the Cor Caroli have to be frontline soldiers. Some of them could be engineers, scientists, things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out for this faction in the future.
Yeah, so we're at the beginning of the 4th phase now, so you will now start to see. So Makara is a boss.
Yeah.
Her themed force is all Cor Caroli.
Oh.
All Cor Caroli. We have Cor Caroli plastic set coming out. We have there's a lot of good stuff coming out.
And they're the elite of the elite.
Yeah, well, we've already seen the Spiker, and you've told me these guys are tough as nails, best as you can do for humans.
Well, they're fanatical as well.
Yeah, and now you're saying, by the way, now these extra-dimensional aliens are going to possess these bodies, and guess what? They're going to be even tougher. Wow.
Well, the problem is so we look at Han again. So say Han gets hit by, there's a fight between the Order and the Union, and the Rolling Thunder tank opens up and smashes a cannon straight through Han's chest. Yeah. Han falls over because it doesn't matter how tough, how good the armor is. If the human body inside is pulped, the Cor Caroli is going to fall over. So but the Cor Caroli isn't dead. Because the Cor Caroli can't die because the Cor Caroli is an energy form. Yeah. It's just the meat in the armor is dead. Yeah. So again, just return to the fortress, strip out the fleshy bits, put new living fleshy bits inside, bring the spirit back into the armor again, and away they go. And
so the Cor Caroli will exist within the body even if the body is dead?
Yes.
Until the body is burned up?
Yes, the problem is, though, that they can't, if the body is dead, the Cor Caroli can't
use it.
Can't move, the body can't move. So effectively the Cor Caroli is trapped in the... I mean, there's the fallen Cor Caroli soldiers on the battlefield. You might see kind of like vague will-o'-the-wisp kind of glows around them where they're starting to leak fire or whatever out of them.
And what if... Can the Cor Caroli then get out of the body and then make its own way back?
No.
Or
no,
what happens?
They have to be collected by the... and there is a sub-faction within the Order whose role it is very specifically to collect the spirits of the fallen Cor Caroli, because the spirits of the Cor Caroli are also highly sought after by other interested parties like the Enlightened and the Hex.
I was just wondering about this. I was just wondering about this.
Why would you not want an energy being? What weird perverted science could you come up with from an energy being, and so on?
Well, I can't imagine Dr. Carpathian looking at it going, I wonder if I could power my machinery with that.
And perhaps he has.
Eh?
But we'll cover the Enlightened later.
Okay. Well, from the sound of it, very light, very elite faction, low model count, really hard hitting on the tabletop, and able to take a beating as well.
Definitely.
Yep.
Sounds like a great faction. Sounds like an absolutely fantastic faction. Everybody out there, if this sounds like it's for you, get your comments in below. Let us know. What would you maybe start to run? Would you start to run maybe the last of a Phase 3 army, with all the Spica and the humans, or are you going straight for the Cor Caroli and going for the tough as nails, the elite of the elite, and putting them on the tabletop? We'll move on here, get those comments in, we'll see you in the next one. Hi everyone, we hope you're enjoying this themed week. Make sure you don't miss any of it by checking out the playlist, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button to ding our dong so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, come across and join us on beastsofwar.com for more great gaming content and a fantastic community. Also, get your comments in for your chance to win.